Welcome everyone. For today's study is Spiritism Inspiring Lives. In order for us to start this meeting of this study, I invite everyone to harmonize ourselves, bringing the focus within ourselves, calming our minds and hearts, so that we can center ourselves. Calming, harmonizing, bringing the focus of our attention in this moment within ourselves, as immortal beings as we all are, essentially beings of goodness, evolving, growing, learning constantly. And here we are once more, ourselves and all of those in the spirit, for us to reflect a bit more about the natural laws in the universe, helping us to expand our minds, hearts, and also the abilities for us to make wiser choices in our existences, so that we can promote real happiness, real understandings, when facing the normal, natural challenges and experiences, which aims to develop the creative aspect of our minds, heart, souls, to becoming wiser and more loving in every moment and every day. And in that way, we start our study today. So once more, welcome everyone. Today we carry on our study, Spiritism Inspiring Lives, and we will be studying about the theme, Seek and You Will Find. And Andrea Barber, which is a member of this society, will be facilitating this theme for us today. So in that way, I hand it over to you, Andrea.
Hi everyone. Today we'll be reflecting on Seek and Will Find, and what means through the lens of Spiritism Teachings in the chapter 25 from the book The Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec. But before, let's have a brief introduction about Spiritism and spirits. So Hippolyte Léon Denisard de Rivail, known as Allan Kardec, was the founder of Spiritism. He was born in 1804 in Lyon and passed away on 1869 in Paris. Allan Kardec organized and compiled methodical teachings he received from various spirits through mediums, and he rationality, morality, and scientific investigation of phenomena. The main books by Allan Kardec are The Spirits Book, 1857, covers the nature of spirits, the afterlife, moral and ethical, and reincarnation. The Medium's Book, 1861, a guide for mediums and those studying spirit communication. The Gospel According to 1864 interprets the moral teachings of Jesus through the lens of Spiritism. Heaven and Hell, 1865, discusses the fate of souls after death and based on spirit testimonies. And Genesis, the Genesis Miracles and Predictions According to Spiritism, 1868, offers a spiritist interpretation of creation, miracles, and prophecy. So let's reflect on Spiritism. Spiritism, on the book What is Spiritism by Allan Kardec, I quote, is the science that deals with the nature, origin, and destiny of spirits and their relationship with the corporeal world. So let's break this down. A science because it studies observable phenomena related to spirit manifestations and communications. Philosophy is a philosophy of behavior, our behavior, because it explores ethical teachings and the purpose of life. Because it's based on the Jesus teachings and on the Parisian Society of Spirit Society, Spirit Studies, in 1808, I quote, as a religion, it's the religion of the heart. So there is a little note here I would like to emphasize that. In a pedagogical way, love is that which manages to awaken in others, be it a child, a student, a spouse, a friend, a sibling, or humanity, the desire for good, the longing for light, the irresistible will to grow, the feeling of God, and the certainty of the path to follow. On the book Education According to Spiritism by Doreen Contri, Pestalozzi says, and I quote, "This definition sets Spiritism apart from mere belief of systems or religions." Allan Kardec emphasized its empirical and rational foundation. Spiritism helps us to change our lenses, giving us new perspectives, teaching us to see life's events differently, helping us to give a new meaning to what we go through, and so we can rewrite our day with clarity and tranquility, feeling lighter. And let's break down about spirits. So we are immortal spirits. We live forever as spirits, always learning and growing. We are also thinking beings with consciousness. As conscious beings, we have the power to reshape, to re-educate ourselves towards the new and the good, beginning with our thoughts and going to actions that over time bring us a sense of lightness and happiness as we fulfill our duties. To live on earth, the spirit uses a physical body. But between the spirit and the body, there is a spiritual body called perispirit. So we are made with three parts: spirit, which is the individual essence, immortal self; perispirit, which is semi-material, is our spiritual body that connects the spirit to the physical body; and physical body, it's material, is our body we use while living on earth. So when we die, the physical body stays behind, but us, spirit, and our perispirit continue living in the spiritual world. So let's go back now to our lecture today. Seek and will find. So in Spiritism, as taught by Allan Kardec, to seek means trying to grow spiritually, become a better person, and understand God's laws. It means asking questions, learning, and trying to live like Jesus and follow the guidance of good spirits. Live like Jesus in a way to follow his examples. When he was among us, he was acting. He was only talking about, he was just acting. So that's why we invited to do, where it means developing our inner virtues. To find means going through a personal change. For example, feeling more love, trust, understanding our life better. It's not just about learning facts, but about becoming a better person and finding our true purpose. So let's read the first slide. Help yourself, then heaven will come to your aid. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will you give him a snake? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? So this is in Matthew. So help yourself and heaven will help you. This means that faith without action is not enough. So Spiritism teaches that being in harmony with God's laws and spiritual help comes in response to our efforts, not instead of them. God helps those who make efforts to help themselves. So God will help helps all of us. But obviously, we need to make our part. We need to make our effort. In Spiritism, ethical, moral, and personal effort is essential. Us, immortal spirits, progress through our own actions, not by passively waiting for miracles. So, when you make a sincere effort, higher spirits and divine laws support our growth and struggles. Help comes as an inspiration, strength, or guidance. It's a law of progress. So it's a law, the law of progress, it says, it's a law of the universe. When we strive to improve, we are aligned with the law of progress, and all of creation support us. The law of progress is a law of God. God operates in the universe through his laws. Progress also means movement, and it's part of the law that we are all destined to evolve. It depends on how much we are willing to grow and develop. This depends on us because we all have free will. Spiritism helps us to understand when we take responsibility for our lives, work on ourselves, and the universe will work with us because we are never alone. So let us not wait passively for change. Let us ask with trust, seek with effort, and knock with humility, and the doors will surely open. The doors will surely open means when we seek spiritual growth sincerely and take action with faith, God will guide us, support us, and give us opportunities to progress. So, for example, if I want to practice patience, I ask God, please, 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 I want to be more patient. But it doesn't mean God could give me the patience. When He created all of us, inside us, we bring the patience, which is a virtue, in germs, let's say, in particles. So it's our duty to develop the virtue. So if I ask, please, God, I want to be more patient, give me patience. Yes, in a way that things will happen in my life, experience will approach to myself for me to work on myself, my patience. So in Spiritism, this doesn't mean we get exactly what we ask for in a material sense, but rather that our sincere efforts to improve, to learn, and to overcome trials will be met with spiritual assistance, inspiration, and moral ethical strength. So the doors represent opportunities for learning and progress, solutions or clarity in times of difficulty, inner peace and guidance through prayer and effort, spiritual help that comes in the right way and time. And this inner peace we will feel when we fulfill our duties because they are in our conscience. So it is a promise that we are not alone. When we do our part, the divine responds, which means, in other words, divine response here, we are all inner in the law of cause and effect. So whatever we choose, we are within the law of cause and effect. And we have this, the help all the time. We are very blessed because we're not here abundant. We ask and we have. So how much I want to make effort to change myself, to make something happen. So let's go to the slide 2. Yeah. From an earthly point of view, the maxim "seek and you find" is the same as the other one, "help yourself and the heaven will come to your aid." This is the base of the law of work and consequently the law of progress. Since progress is the child of work, seeing that this puts into action the forces of intelligence. In the infancy of humanity, man only applied his intelligence to the search for food, the means to protect himself from the elements and to defend himself from enemies. However, God has given them something more than he gave to the animals, which is incessant desire to better themselves. It's the desire that impels them to seek out the best ways of improving their position in life. which duly leads them to make discoveries, to invent things, and to perfect the sciences, because it's science that gives them what they lack. Thanks to our research, your intelligence develops. We're going to carry on the next slide, please. Thanks to your research, your intelligence develops and your morals are refined. The needs of the body follow the needs of the spirit. After material needs, humans need the spirit nourishment. This is how man passes from savagery to civility. But the progress that each man makes individually during his earthly life is insignificant, and in a large number of them, even imperceptible. How then could humanity progress without pre-existence and re-existence of the soul? If souls left the earth every day, never to return, humanity would be constantly renewed by primitive entities who would have everything to do and everything to learn. There would therefore be no reason for today's men to be more advanced than those of the early times of the world, since for each birth the intellectual work would have to begin again. On the other hand, by returning with the degree of progress realized and acquiring something more each time, the soul then gradually passes from the barbaric state to materialistic civilization, and from this to moral civilization. Moral here always we relate it to ethical, moral, our virtues. So let's reflect on these slides. The saying "seek and will find" is similar to "help yourself and heaven will help you." Both mean that progress happens when we act. Ask, we place ourselves into an action, and with humility recognize ourselves as learners in life, beings in need. With Jesus, we develop responsibility and clarity. And the word seek, this brings us autonomy, because through self-knowledge, we pursue balance, educate our emotions and actions so they don't sabotage reason. We are imperfect beings, evolving through self-conquest and lived experience. Nature makes no leaps. The path is always the middle way. So heaven helps us. It's a peaceful state. The word rephrasing. Heaven helps you. It's a peaceful state of mind when we live by the laws of God inside each one of us. So heaven is not a physical place, it's a state of mind. So when we accomplish our duties inside ourselves, we feel happy. If I'm trying to, for example, overcome some limitations I recognize on myself, for example, slander, let's say, if I try, every time I try to overcome, I feel good because I'm going towards myself, I'm going towards God inside myself, where this is a heaven, where is a peace of mind. So this idea is part of the law of work, and work is what drives progress. The law of work, again, is one of God's laws because it pushes all of us to use our intelligence. So the law of work helps us to use our intelligence. So be ethical in our process for our self-transformation. For example, honest methods, fair treatments, integrity, and use our intelligence for good. For example, to build, to teach, to uplift, not deceive or divide. So in early human history, we mostly use our brain just to survive, finding food, staying warm, and protect ourselves. But unlike animals, humans have something special, a deep desire to improve our lives. This desire motivates us to find better ways to live, to invent things, and to grow in knowledge. As we learn more, our intelligence grows, and so do our ethical moral. Over time, you begin not to only focus and concentrate on the physical needs, such as food, water, sleep, sex, medical care, if needed, but finding the balance and valuing our also spiritual and emotional needs, such as developing our virtues, as I mentioned before, like humility, charity, forgiveness. This is how all of us in humanity grow from being wild and uncivilized to become more advanced and thoughtful. But in one life, a person can only grow and learn a little. If his souls were born died, if souls were born, died, and never come back, humanity would keep starting over and over with the new souls that had to learn everything from scratch. We wouldn't really progress as a species. So instead, if us immortal spirits return, we reborn, and carry with us the progress we have already made, then we keep getting better each time. This allows humanity to slow move from being primitive to being more advanced. So both in technology and knowledge, and in kindness and morality. So let's go now to the third slide. If God had freed humans from physical work, their limbs would have atrophied. If he had freed them from intellectual work, then their spirit would have remained in a state of infancy in the instinctive conditions of the animal. This is why he made work a necessity by saying, seek and you find, work and you produce. In this way, you are the product of your own work. You receive the merit of your achievement and the recompense according to what you have done. So let's reflect on this slide. Spiritism teaches us that God gave us work, both physical and mental, as a way for us to grow and improve ourselves. So if we didn't have to do physical work, our body would become weak and useless. Our bodies are built for motion. Without physical work, they weaken. It's just like metal that rusts when it's left unused. So if you didn't have to do mental or intellectual work, we, immortal spirits, would stay like children or animals, without reason or understanding. So that's why God made work a part of life. When he says seek and will find, work and will produce, it means in a way that if we make an effort, we'll grow and learn. Our progress depends on what we are and what we do. We do in the sense of the choices that we make in life. Through our own efforts, we shape who we become. According to the principles of Spiritism, we are spiritually and morally rewarded, not by external judge, but through the natural consequences of the universal moral laws. The good we do, the progress we make, and the love we cultivate contribute directly to our spirit evolution, guiding us towards greater peace, wisdom, and harmony. So we are responsible for our own evolution. Work, both therefore physical and intellectual, is a divine instrument for personal and spiritual growth. It's through effort, struggle, and the overcoming of challenges that the soul evolves. So God, in his wisdom, made work necessary so that we would not remain stagnant, but would grow stronger in body and more enlightened in spirit. So this reflects the Spiritist view that progress is the law of the universe, and it's achieved through personal responsibility, effort, and continuous development spiritually, morally, and intellectually. So let's go now to the slide 4. It's by virtue of this principle that the spirits do not spare beings, human beings, the work of research by bringing them discoveries and inventions prepared and ready for use, nor in such a way that they would have nothing to do except accept what was put into their hands without even the inconvenience of a small effort. Or even thinking, if things were like that, then the laziest could enrich themselves and the most ignorant could become wise at the cost of no effort, and both would have merits attributed to them for things they had not done. No, the spirits do not come to free humanity from the law of work, but to show them the goal to be reached and the pathway that leads them to it, saying, walk and you get there. You will find stones in your path. Stay vigilant and remove them yourself. We will give you the necessary strength if you care to utilize it. So this is in the Medium book as well. So on the in this slide, let's reflect. Spiritists help by guiding, not by doing all the work for us. We must put in our own effort to grow, to learn, and evolve. They don't give us ready-made inventions or discoveries. So they don't just hand us everything we need without us making any effort. If they did, then we could become lazy with benefit without doing any work. If ignorant, we could appear wise without learning. So we would get credit for things that we didn't actually do. They wouldn't be fair or helpful to anyone. So let's stay vigilant, look within ourselves through actions of goodness. Instead, spirits respect the law of work. This means that progress, whether material or spiritual, requires effort, learning, and action from all of us. In terms of material needs, it means taking care of our physical needs. In terms of spirit nourishment, it's through noble and good thoughts, through prayer, doing good deeds, forgiveness, respect for ourselves and for the others. So spiritists guide us, showing the goal and the path to reach it. They say, I walk forward and we will get there. If you face obstacles, look carefully and remove them. We will give you the strength you need, but only if you're willing to use it. So let's see the help from the good spirits that we can have. Let's see a few examples. For example, we study for an exam. We might pray for help or inspiration, and we might feel more focused or find useful resources, but we still have to study. The spirits won't give us the answers. They will encourage our effort. So they light the way, but we must walk. So, for example, looking for a job. Let's give another example that benefactors can help us, the good spirits can help us. So looking for a job. We can ask for spiritual guidance, and maybe we feel led to apply at the right place or meet someone helpful, but we still have to prepare ourselves. Filling out forms, writing to companies, going to interviews, or even persisting through rejections. So they open the doors, but we must knock and enter. So let's see about overcoming a bad habit. We might receive strength through prayer or inner insight, let's say, but discipline to change must come from us. Spirits won't magically take away addiction, laziness, or anger. So they offer strength, not shortcuts. So, for example, as I mentioned before, if I work on, let's say, if I keep having like negative thoughts, for example, and I really want to stop having that negative thoughts because I feel it's not helpful, it's not healthy for myself, and also in contact with the others. So I need to I choose to discipline myself. I choose to now start swapping my negative thoughts to a positive thoughts and obviously asking for help. So the benefactors, you come and they will help us. They're not going to do for us, but they help us, inspiring us. So let's go. Oh, yeah, one more. Yes, let's reflect on, yeah, the fifth. Thank you. From the moral point of view, these words of Jesus signify ask for the light that will show the way, and it will be given. Ask for strength to resist evil, and you receive it. Ask for the assistance of good spirits, and they will come to help you. And like the angel of Tobias, ask for good advice, and it will never be refused to you. Knock on our door, and it will be open to you. But ask with sincerity, faith, fervor, and confidence. Present yourselves humbly and not with arrogance. Otherwise, you will be left to your own strengths, and you will fall as a just punishment for your pride. This is the meaning of these words of Jesus. Forgive me. Seek and you find. Knock and it will be open to you. Sorry. So these words of Jesus, ask, seek, knock, are understood ethico-morally as an invitation to sincere spiritual effort. One must humbly and faithfully seek divine help. Inner strength and guidance from benevolent spirits. So, with the true humility and trust, such aid will be given. And then reflect on this phrase. But pride or superficial asking leads to being left to one's own limited strength, resulting in failure. As a natural consequence, let's explain that. Spiritual progress depends on sincerity and humility and a genuine desire for more improvement. So when you ask for help, whether it's guidance, strength to resist temptation, or support from good spirits, Spiritism teaches us that this help is always available, but only if you request, if this request is made with faith, with humility, and sincerity in our thoughts and hearts. Now, if you choose to ask with pride, arrogance, or without true conviction, that is in a superficial or insincere way, we are not truly open to receive help. We are not prepared, which is our own choice. So, reflect on the word as a natural consequence. Failure follows not as a punishment from God whatsoever, in a punitive sense, but is in a lesson. So the fall teaches the proud person the limits of their own ego, and hopefully leads them to genuine humility, which then opens the path for true spiritual help and growth. So being abandoned to one's own strength means facing challenges without higher guidance, because the attitude of pride blocks the very help that could uplift us. Spiritism sees this is not cruelty, not a cruel situation, but is a part of divine justice and education. Let's reflect on the concept of punishment. So within Spiritism, which is not seen as divine vengeance or lifelong suffering, but rather as a natural consequence of our own actions. So part of our developing ethical awareness and natural consequence is totally linked to the law of cause and consequence, cause and effect, which is one of God's laws, which is laws of God, and the laws of love, all the same. So divine justice is educational, not punitive. Spiritism teaches that God is infinitely just and good. Therefore, what people often interpret as punishment is actually a means of learning and progress. When you make mistakes or act wrongly, we experience the consequences, not to suffer for suffering's sake, but to understand, to reflect, and correct ourselves. So, on the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, I quote, The penalty is always proportional to the error, and its aim is regeneration, not condemnation. So the consequences are natural. Just as touching fire, for example, naturally burns the skin. Moral mistakes lead to spiritual discomfort or trials. These are not punishment imposed from outside, but natural effects of our moral state. For example, selfishness leads to loneliness. Pride leads to failure. These outcomes are built into spiritual law, like cause and effect. Let's say in a reparation and progress are always possible. Why? No one is stuck for good. In Spiritism, we, as immortal spirits, evolve through many existence, reincarnations, learning through experiences. Even the most misguided spirit can one day become enlightened. The goal is always reform, always inner transformation, is our inner reform, not retribution. So in summary, let's close into a summary for this. Spiritism does not believe in eternal punishment or divine wrath. What looks like punishment is really a lesson from natural law, which the God's laws or laws of love, an opportunity for growth and improvement, and a consequence that we can understand, learn from, and eventually transcend. So let's go now to slide 6. Behold the falls of the air. So this is the subtitle. It's another subtitle. Behold the falls of the air. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break through and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what will you eat, nor yet for your body, what will you put on? Is not the soul more than food, and the body more than clothing? Behold the falls of the air. Can you go to the next, please, Lily? Behold the falls of the air, they neither sow nor reap, nor gather food into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more than they? And which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his stature? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They do not work, neither do they spin. And I tell you, not even Solomon in all his glory was dressed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? The next, please. Do not worry, saying, what shall you eat, or what shall you drink, or with what shall you clothe ourselves? For the Gentiles are weary because of these things. For your Father knows that you have need of all the things. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself, and enough for the day its own trouble. This is in Matthew as well. So reflect on this. Behold the falls of the air also can be translated as behold the birds of the air. So see nature and draw wisdom from it, where everything flows without control, without our control, without attachment. Trust in God, trust in ourselves, for we already have everything we need. So treasure upon earth, in Spiritism, it means earthly treasures are the material things people often want, such as wealth, power, status, possessions, or even certain relationships. These are temporary, and belong to the physical world, not to the spiritual. According to Spirit's book, true progress comes from spiritual growth, not material accumulation. Earthly treasures can distract us from our soul's evolution if we become too attached to them. Kardec teaches, and I quote, "Man only owns in full ownership that which he can carry with him when he leaves this world. He only enjoys the use of material things, but cannot take them into the spiritual world." So this is a question 922 in the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec. So that means that why we might use material during this period here we're in Earth. Our true treasures are virtues like love, charity, humility, and knowledge. They are qualities that the soul continue using after death. So the virtues are within us. We carry no matter where we are in this universe. And so when you're talking about the rust do corrupt, rust symbolizes the need of to let go. It's a reminder that everything is temporary. So people, things, situation, and that holding on too tightly can cause pain. If you're attached to people or attached to things, that can cause pain. And learning to accept change, and it's not about loss but about transformation of learning detachment. So when you love someone, you're going to carry on loving someone. The physical body stays, like we mentioned before, but we, immortal spirits, and the love we feel to each other will carry on. And so is hate. So let's work on our hate here to love more, to respect more one another. So this way you're going to feel free. Trust is in divine providence. Value spiritual over material and seek ethical moral growth. God provides for all, just as He does for the birds. So that faith in God and spiritual priorities must guide our lives, not anxiety over material needs. Spiritism emphasizes that material anxiety reflects a lack of faith, as our true needs are known and will be met by divine laws, which our own have in our own conscience. So, spiritual development and moral progress are the true treasures. Like the birds and flowers, humans should trust in God's care without failing into idleness or neglecting duties. So, this teaching reminds us to place faith in God, pursue spiritual values, and not to be consumed by material concerns. So, let's be very vigilant about the situation, because without thinking, we can be in this situation, this pattern, like a vicious cycle. So, let's be aware of ourselves and see exactly where we are putting our treasure. And let's go now to the slide 7, please. In a literal translation, these words would be a denial of all providence of all work and consequently of all progress. According to this principle, humanity would be limited to waiting passively, while all physical intellectual strength remained inactive. If this had been their normal condition on earth, then human beings would never have left the primitive state. And if they were to adopt this principle now, they would have nothing more to do. It's clear that this could not have been Jesus' thought, because it would be in contradiction with what he had already said on other occasions, such as regarding to natural laws. To the laws of nature. God created humans without clothes or shelter, but he gave them intelligence to be able to make them. These words, therefore, represent nothing more than a poetic. Oh, the next one, please. These words, therefore, represent nothing more than a poetic allegory of providence that never abandons those who trust in it, but only on the condition that they also make an effort. Thus, while not always providing material assistance, it inspires them with ideas to overcome their difficulties on their own. God knows our needs and provides for them when it is necessary. But humans are insatiable in their desires and do not always know how to be content with what they have. The necessary is not enough for them. They also desire the superfluous. Then providence leaves them to themselves. Many times they become unhappy through their own fault and for having paid no attention to the voice of their conscience, which had warned them. In these cases, God lets them suffer the consequences, so it may serve as a lesson for the future. So, here on the chapter 14, mentioned before, item 6 and chapter 25, 25th, item 2, both reinforce the importance of a human action, effort, a responsibility within the framework of divine providence. On the chapter 14, item 6, honor your father and your mother. So this item emphasizes filial duty, not just in caring for parents, but in acknowledging the role of the family in ethical, moral, and spiritual development. Spiritism teaches that family ties are sacred, and caring for one's parents, especially in their time of need, is part of the moral progress. It connects to the broader idea that love and responsibility toward others, starting in the home, are active components of spiritual evolution. So passivity or neglect would opposite the divine law. On the chapter 25, item 2, also mentioned, help yourself and have you help you. This passage helps us to understand that it's not in a purely passive reliance or divine will. The idea that one should simply wait for things to happen, Kardec clearly states to us this is against the laws of nature. God gives humans intelligence and free will precisely to act, to learn, to evolve. God helps those who help themselves. So if you want help, God helps us. If you decide not to help ourselves, even God wants to help us, we are not opened for the help. So providence acts in harmony with human initiative and effort. Jesus' teachings do not promote laziness or passive waiting at all, but rather encourage intelligent action aligned with moral ethical values. So in summary, Spiritism rejects fatalism and inaction. Humans are co-creators with God, responsible for their own moral and material progress. So we are responsible for our moral and material progress. Jesus taught active charity, responsibility, and constructive effort rather than passive submission or inactivity. So true faith includes action, not just belief. So God created man without clothes or shelter, but gave him the intelligence to produce them. This reflects the idea of God that God provides, that means not the finished outcome. It emphasizes our responsibility and the use of our intelligence as a divine gift, the gift that God gave us, our loving Father. We should embrace the difficulties we attract to ourselves with courage and determination to overcome them, because we are capable, using our inner strength and resilience. So, difficulties here as challenges in life often result from choices made in these or previous incarnations. They serve as opportunities for us to learn, to progress in virtues. So, as Jesus teaches us, carry your cross and walk. meaning taking responsibility for one's trials and actively working through them for our spiritual growth. Therefore, these words of difficulties on the chapter 27, a poetic image of divine providence, which supports those who trust it, not by miracle, but by inspiring ideas and encouraging effort in harmony with the law of progress. This keeps the Spiritist emphasis on the free will, moral ethical growth, and providence acting through inspiration rather than supernatural intervention. So practice on our virtues is the same as like metaphorically talking about cleaning our inner vase. For example, the more I practice the virtues inside ourselves, it's like I'm giving a space for myself. So, and then the more I practice, I feel lighter and I'm more receptive for the inspiration. So, chapter 27, Ask and You Shall Receive, item 8, it means prayer. It says prayer and the power of thought. So, prayer is a way to send our thoughts to God, to good spirits or other people. When you pray with faith and love, our thoughts really reach those we pray to. Spirits can hear our prayers and help us if it's good for us. Prayer is like a message sent through thoughts and feelings, not just words. So distance doesn't matter. Thought travels and connects us to others. So prayer is powerful when it's sincere. God understands on the chapter 5, item 4 of the Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec, titled Previous Causes of Afflictions, it explains that many of the sufferings we experience in this life originate from past incarnations as consequences of mistakes made by the spirits, by us, in previous existence. Remembering here, we have one life and many existences. So these challenges are not punishments, but rather opportunities for learning, to grow, and spiritual progress. Also, let's reflect in two aspects. One aspect is a phrase from Paul the Apostle on 1 Corinthians 6.12. All things are, and I quote, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are beneficial. Or, in other words, I'm free to do anything, but not everything is good for me. So let's say, for example, in a few countries, is legal under the laws of humans in the planet Earth, drugs, abortion, but not under the laws of God. And let's reflect as well about gratitude. Let's reflect an idea of the 3 levels of gratitude according to Joana de Angelis through the medium Divaldo Franco. Be grateful to God for everything, for the good that happens to us, for the evil that is avoided, and even for the evil that comes our way, because nothing happens without just cause and divine permission. So let's break this down. For the good we receive, it means as it is a manifestation of divine mercy and love. For the evil that is avoided, because often we are unaware of how much we are protected. And for the evil that doesn't happen, since pain and hardship are also opportunities for learning, spiritual growth, and atonement for past mistakes. So this is a different kind of conscience level. Okay, according to our time, the slides will be here, but I will try to reflect briefly on the last slides, if it's okay with the time. Talking about, reflect on the slide 8, administer the benefits according to the laws of justice, charity, and love. Justice means giving each person what's right and fair, not just by law, but by conscience, ethical, and awareness. Charity means helping others freely, without expecting anything in return. In Spiritism, it's not just giving money, but also about kindness, forgiveness, and compassion. Love for one's neighbors means recognizing the spiritual brotherhood of all people and acting accordingly with empathy and respect. So, when all of us manage earth resources with fairness, compassion, and love for each other, no with greed or selfishness, there will be enough for everyone. So, about fraternity in the Spiritism terms, fraternity means a deep spiritual brotherhood among all human beings. It goes beyond race, nationality, sex orientation, or social class. Just like different states of a country share resources for the good of all, when all nations and peoples live as spiritual siblings, wealth and resources can be shared wisely and fairly. So, carry on the slide 8. Superfluity and insufficiency. Superfluity, having more than what is needed, and insufficiency, not having enough. So, if one group has more than they need and another doesn't have enough, true fraternity will allow the extra to be used where it's needed, just like sharing food among a family. And seeds on this slide, as a metaphor, symbolizes wealth, resources, or potential, both material and spiritual. And if scattered, shared and used wisely, they multiply. So if you wasted the seed you wasted, they become useless. A person who refuses to share clings to possessions. Sharing what we have leads to growth and benefit for all of us. But if someone keeps everything just for ourselves or let it go to waste, those resources become useless and might even bring harm. When wealth or resources are locked away and not put to beneficial use, they eventually spoil or are lost, just like seeds kept in storage too long. That's why Jesus taught us not to focus on gathering material riches that don't last, but to build up spiritual treasures by loving and helping others. So let's see treasures on earth um, versus treasures in heaven. I wouldn't say versus, I would say different, the difference between. So treasures on earth, we're talking about material possessions such as money, status, and the treasures in heaven, which we mentioned before, which is a state of a peaceful mind, is spiritual virtues, acts of love and charity. So material things don't last. Spiritual values and the good we do for ourselves and the others are what truly matter and endures beyond this life. And let's go to the slide 9, just because of our time. Yes, on the slide 9, in a few words, it means the reflection is do not worry about possession, gold, where is mentioned here. It means the true wealth lies on ethical and spiritual growth. It means our inner transformation. And on the 10th, we when said, shake off the dust of your feet, example, let go my negative feelings and move on. So this shake off, it means the power that you have to swap the negative feelings or thought to a positive one. Let's move on. And on the 11th one, finally, the 11th one, in a short, this passage reflects the Spiritist ethics of respect, non-coercion, tolerance, and peace. Therefore, the truth must be shared with love and reason, never imposed. Very important, the 11th slide. Spiritism invites but never demands, teaches but never condemns. So the word say, do not violate any conscience. Spiritism teaches us respect for free will and personal conscience. Each soul evolves at its own pace, guided by experiences and inner understanding. Forcing beliefs on others goes against the ethical moral law of freedom, which is the central to the spiritual evolution of individuals. So let's work on our flexibility. On the phrase, it means, say, do not force anyone to leave their faith in order to adopt yours. Allan Kardec emphasized that Spiritism is not a proselytism religion. It does not seek to convert, but to enlighten. People are encouraged to come to Spiritism freely, drawn by its rational and consoling philosophy, which is the behavior philosophy. True belief must be the result of reasoned conviction, not pressure. Spiritism invites but never pressures anyone to believe, not intimidation either. Spiritism rejects intimidation and embraces freedom of belief, or even not obligation. No one should feel an obligation to accept an idea without understanding. On the another phrase as well mentioned on the slide 11, I quote, do not excommunicate those who do not think as you do. Spiritism rejects dogmatism and sectarianism. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, Kardec insists that tolerance, charity, and humility are the essence of spiritual progress. Judging or condemning others for their beliefs is incompatible with the teachings of the spirits. I quote, welcome all who come to join you and live in peace, all those who are repelled by your ideas. This echoes the Spiritism principle of universal fraternity. Those who resonate with Spiritism are welcomed with open arms. Those who don't should be respected and left in peace. Everyone is on a unique spiritual path, and no one should be criticized for where they are on it. I quote, remind yourselves of the words of Christ. In other times, the heavens were taken over by violence, but today they are taken over by mindness. This refers to Christ's teachings evolving human more ethically, forgive me, from force and fear to love and gentleness. Spiritism emphasizes moral transformation through inner reform, not through external imposition. The spiritual world no longer demands fanatism, but invites compassion, understanding, and peaceful conviction. For us to live, not to speak. So we are invited to live Jesus' teachings, not to speak. Let's remain faithful to the mission we choose before reincarnation, without imposing our path on others. For each spirit has its own journey. Jesus has been patiently inviting us for over 2,000 years with love, not imposition. And to finalize everything, chapter 4, 10, and 11 reflects on our free will. Through the law of reincarnation, we gradually rebuild our life story using our free will. So that's what I have for today, and I wish you all much peace. Thank you.
So we're coming to the end. Thank you, Andrea, for facilitating this team. And we all give thanks for these final moments that we have been granted by the Creator of all, God, which He embraces all of us through His love, ourselves and all of those in the spirit who are here. So appreciating what has been given and expressing our gratitude for the enlightened spirits who have been with us always with love, inviting us to renew our thoughts, to renew our behaviors, and to make new choices according to universal laws. So in that way, we express our gratitude and give thanks for everything which we receive throughout these short moments that we are together, beings either from incarnates and also those in the spiritual world, expressing our love, expressing our goodness. Be willing to learn. Be willing to expand and enlighten our minds and hearts, our lives, our existences, and also those who are around us. Wherever we all are within the law of cause and effect, which in essence is the law of love. while we choose to move ourselves against this, we suffer, we create conflicts, we create hardships. In that way, let's ask Jesus, the guide and friend of all of us, that he may once more help us to enlighten our minds and hearts, and we be willing to listen to his guidance through love, through brotherhood. Wherever we are and with who we are, let's always be attentive that the universe is insisting in promoting us so that we may educate ourselves according to the universal code of harmony, of serenity, of inner peace, understanding that the peace on earth depends on each one of us. And with gratitude full of our hearts, within our hearts, around us, thinking of everyone who is around us in terms of goodness. We are all brothers and sisters in humanity. And with the blessings of the good enlightened spirits, we conclude this meeting today. So be it. So in that way, thank you for all of those who have been with us, and thank you, Andrea, once more. And we come to end and hope to see you in future opportunities. Bye-bye.